Now that's what I like to hear. Terence Crawford could potentially be going for undisputed at 154. This is what I've always wanted. But if it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. But if it did, it would definitely set the world on fire.
If I tell you I'm good, probably you will say I'm boasting. But if I tell you I'm no good, you know one line.
Yo, what's good, Boxing Talk family? It's your boy, Dr. Boxing Talk, back for another YouTube video. Banger, man. Yes, sir. Yes, man. But I know what time it is. The doctor's in the house, man. So check this out. You know, there's some news been going around, you know, since Terence Crawford and CANELO been trying to make this fight happen. You know, it's a very intriguing fight. You know, the fact that we think that even a guy of Terence Crawford's size, coming from 147, you know, he just made his debut in his last fight against Israel Madrimov at 154 to claim the WBA title against an undefeated challenger, undefeated champion, excuse me, in his debut. It was very impressive, and he won. He beat Israel Madrimov. It was a good fight, you know, and despite him gaining the title, he had his eyes on taking on the face of boxing, you know, Saul Canelo Alvarez, aka Cinnamon. You know, and it's a good fight, it's an intriguing fight. But the only reason why it's intriguing is because of how great Terence Crawford is. This is a testament to how phenomenal of a fighter he is. You know, he's the only one that we could think could possibly pull off going up so high and taking on a legend in Saul Canelo Alvarez. You know, we have two legends against each other. Now, me personally, I believe that Saul Canelo Alvarez is going to win.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
You know, I just think that he's going to be too much. He's too much experience at higher weight classes, too strong. And, you know, the mass and the weight classes are going to be too much to overcome for a smaller guy in Terence Crawford. Now, I know they have some similar dimensions, like the vertical aspect, right? Their height is relatively the same. But, you know, boxing is, you know, weight are determined by weight classes, which are determined by size. It's like I always tell people, the largest land animal is not the giraffe, even though it's the tallest. The largest land animal is the elephant because of its mass. Yeah. And Canelo has been all the way up to light heavyweight, you know what I'm saying, 175, in which he beat Kovalev one time for a belt, and then he also lost to Dmitry Bivol, but he's been there comfortably and he's never been hurt. So I think it's a lot for Terence Crawford to overcome, even though I would slightly say I would slightly edge the skill department in Terence Crawford's favor. Everything else, essentially, I put in Canelo's favor. But like I said, this is intriguing because these are two phenomenal legendary fighters, all-time greats already going against each other. So I'm intrigued by it. However, I've always told you, you know, those of you that frequent my channel, I appreciate you, big salute, and support the channel. You know my stance. I would much rather Terence Crawford fight the other champions at 154, being Bakram Murtazaliev and Sebastian Fundora, who we just saw defend his titles successfully, you know, against Cordell Booker. So he retained his WBC and WBO belt that he won from Tim Tszyu, right? Okay, and we have Bakram at the IBF, and we have Terence Crawford as a WBA champion. Now, we also know that Terence Crawford is a WBO interim champion, but the president of the WBO, you know, Gustavo Oliveira, said that once the Canelo fight is officially announced, once the Canelo fight is officially announced, then Terence Crawford would, you know, be removed as a WBO interim champion. They have to make way for Xander's eyes. And that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? I like that move, because if you're not at the weight division, why are you holding up a position? You know what I'm saying? But this is the thing, though. Terence Crawford said this. So basically, he had an interview with the Ring magazine, and he told us what I wanted to hear. You know, he said that, hey, man, after he beats Canelo, he could potentially go back down, and take on the guy who emerges as the best. And you know what I want to see? After Sebastian Fundora won last night, a lot of people said they want to see him against Virgil Ortiz. A lot of people want to see him against some different champions there, or different contenders at 154, you know, Virgil Ortiz being one of them. And what was the other? Jesus Ramos being another one of them. And they also said Bakram Murtazaliev, right? Among some other people as well. Me, personally, I think that all those fights are good. They also said they want to see him against Xander's eyes. But in my personal opinion, I want to see him versus Bakram the most, because we have the most at stake, right? It'll be Sebastian Fundora's 2 titles, WBC, WBO, and it'll be Bakram's IBF title, you know? And let's say they actually do fight, this fight comes into fruition. Now, these are a lot of hypotheticals, but just bear with me. But let's say that this fight does come into fruition and they fight, then the winner will undoubtedly emerge as the top fighter at 154, and that's a deep division. In my opinion, that's the best division. It has the most parity and the most depth out of all the divisions right now. So let's say that one guy has 3 belts. Well, then he's definitively the best, right? And if Terence Crawford does beat Canelo, hypothetically, like I already said, I don't think he does, but you know, it's going to be a good fight. If he does manage to beat Canelo, then he'll be undisputed in 3-weight division, and he could go down and become a four-time undisputed, you know what I'm saying, 154, if he could beat the winner of Bakram Murtazali and Sebastian Fedor. Like I said, these are a lot of hypotheticals. A lot of things have to align. But hey, man, this is why we watch sports, and boxing in particular, because it's so intriguing, right? And the caveat to this is that, of course, the WBA president, Gilberto Mendoza Jr., he would have to allow Terence Crawford to retain his belt when he goes up to 168 pounds to challenge Canelo. And this is not unheard of, right? We've seen fighters keep their belt when they move up and then come back down and still be a champion, right? We just saw that with Emmanuel Navarrete when he went up to 135 to fight Denise Berenchik to become a champion at 135. He lost and he went back down and he kept his belt, right? So we also see the same thing with Lamont Roach and Tank, right? He was able to still keep his WBA belt, and you see how I did that right there? It's still the WBA, right? Which is what Terence Crawford has. So the WBA allowed Lamont Roach to go up to fight Tank and still, win or lose, retain his belt at 130, the lower weight division. So if Gilberto Mendoza Jr., who's the president of the WBC president is Mauricio Suleiman, and then the IBF president is Daryl Peoples. The WBO president is Gustavo Oliveiro, and then the WBA president, who I meant to say, is Gilberto Mendoza, right? If he allows Terence Crawford to keep his belt when he travels up to 168, similar to what he did for Lamont Roach, then this plan is perfectly feasible. You know what I'm saying? So I think this is dope. I think it's good news. Like I said, I think it will be derailed because I think Canelo beats Terence Crawford. But even if he loses, and Terence Crawford has plans to return back to 154, Gilberto Mendoza could apply a similar he could apply a similar courtesy to Terence Crawford that he applied to Lamont Roach and say, hey man, if you lose trying to strive for greatness, we could still potentially let you keep your belt at WBA at 154 and then challenge and potentially become unified at 154 as well, which I think that's what I would prefer anyway. You know, so I would prefer him to skip Canelo and stay at 154 and pursue undisputed there. But I get it because he's at the end, towards the end of his career, and he's accomplished everything that's needed to be accomplished in boxing. You know what I'm saying? So why not let him go to try to reach for greatness and get a lucrative deal while he does it? You know what I'm saying? He deserves it, man. He's a beast of a fighter, man. And so is Canelo. So I'd love to see it, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that. Would you like to see Terence Crawford attempt to go for undisputed at 154? Or do you not really care? It doesn't really matter. You're just intrigued about the Canelo and Terence Crawford fight? Or if you're not intrigued, let me know about that too. Who do you have winning? Terence Bud Crawford or Canelo? I got Canelo winning, but I do have Terence Crawford beating the other champions at 154, including Bakram Murtazali and Sebastian Fedor, obviously. But I think it's going to be a tough fight regardless, man. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that. You know what I'm saying? Don't forget to smack that like button. But most importantly, remember, with God, we can do anything. Without God, we're nothing. The doctor's out. Peace. From the hood to college, both worlds they had to meet. 6 degrees between us, so cold, we're about to freeze. But we're Florida boys, hot takes, we bring the heat. We're moving the culture, the engineers to the streets.